astrology as well. He does the astronomical, so it's more astronomical than astrological, and he takes the
Yeah.
horoscopes and read dates those into the last 1200 years or so. And so basically he crunches everything into the last 1200 years, and his argument is that it's all in the last 1200 years because that's when the dawn of civilization was, when people started to actually get into larger groups to develop sciences and more tools and laws and poetry, arts, to everything that is the hallmark and cornerstones of civilization, calendars and stuff like that. So, but yeah, textual analysis and astronomical analysis is the fundamentals of that. And it's interesting because for the last like 4 or 5 years, I've been trying to get astronomers to look at the astronomy stuff. I've been trying to get mathematicians to look at the textual analysis stuff, and nobody wants to touch it because Wikipedia has labeled it as a pseudoscience, pseudo-historical conspiracy theory.
Huh. So how do the Russians perceive Fomenko? What is his?
It's a mixed bag. Some of them, I think for the most part, they don't care about it or they've never heard about it. And then it does have a decent following. Like they've made a bit of money off of it. They just opened up a museum last year to share their findings and their discoveries. And with all that being said, it still is worth keeping in mind that potentially it could be a psyop. Like,
Yeah.
it could be complete disinformation, and this guy really has fudged all the data and is purposefully lying to suit political goals. Calendars, at least in the ancient age and medieval age, were mostly controlled by political powers. So the ruling class had sole proprietorship over calendars, and so and it does. It affects the way that you perceive your role in the world and where you're at today. To think that your Savior died for your sins 2,000 years ago and everything has happened since then, you can just skip over the other stuff. You don't need to focus on that because here we are today. We got to save the souls. Or if you're Islamic, that happened some 1,300, 1,400 years ago now. The Prophet Muhammad came to finally deliver us the message of God or Allah or whatever religion you come from. It plays into how you see yourself. If you're an atheist, then chances are you probably believe in evolution and you see yourself in a long line of millions of years of development, and we're finally here in the present day. And it's all stuff that was created just recently, really, these different ideas.
So it's funny. When I first got like an idea of when I started thinking about that, what I had learned in school or whatever, and started questioning it, was when I learned about Joseph Campbell as being a collective mythologist.
Is
So
monomyth.
yeah, so this guy, this is 20 years ago, but him just the collective mythologist, looking at mythology and finding it's kind of like what you're describing before, analyzing the text, putting them together. So he did the same thing, and he finds
This is
that
like the
there's a
monomyth on steroids. This is like
yeah,
not just mythology
yeah,
all comes from one thing, but like all these branches of history are actually based on one original strain.
and it's good to with Joseph Campbell because the power of myth, whatever. So we could even be everything could be a lie. You have to keep that, and it's all myth, like a story retold over and over again, right? So empires and oligarchs and kings and queens basically maintain their power just by establishing a history of themselves when it doesn't even exist.
Yeah, repetition doesn't make something true. You can
Right.
say it as many times as you want. You're not going to turn into a pink elephant. Maybe in your mind you will, but to the rest of us, you're still a person.
So with that, is there any kind of foundation in history you go by that you would say that is definitely like, is there a time like 100 years in American history you're pretty solid on?
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of maybe around like 1700s, 1800s, stuff starts to get a bit more clear. on
Hmm.
what happened. But even then, there is still some dispute on what really happened in those years. And up to this present day, any new discovery needs to be taken with a grain of salt. And especially when we're talking about dating things,
Yeah.
like I was talking about chronology, I don't think there's any real experts in chronology that you could talk to, potentially in different areas of chronology, but they don't know about the full scope of it. You can't get degrees in chronology. You can't get a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD, which is
Oh,
just
wow.
nonsense to me. Chronology is the backbone of history. It's like without chronology, history is just a mess. There's no order, rhyme, or reason at all for it. And so for there to be no degree in chronology, it just blows my mind. You can get a degree in astronomy, which is the kind of the basis for chronology, but
Yeah,
I don't get it. But
Okay.
I do.
yeah, pretty
There's
weird.
this is a conspiracy because you would think, right?
I
That would
think,
be one of
if
the
anything,
person.
I think it's just human stupidity, that baseline stupidity that ripples through us all.
I don't know. Could there be societies that, like we were talking about the Vatican earlier, that maybe in that library there is a good chronology, and that's the reason no one's allowed in it.
Yeah, I don't know about any conscious conspirators that are set out to hide this, but maybe there are some out there. I'd be interested in seeing any evidence for it. I sort of take stuff base by base, starting out with the core evidence. Any single claim that could be made. So if the claim is there are conspirators hiding chronological information from us, I would like to know what the basis of that claim is and then work from there.
Well, what do you think? I mean, about, well, we are in the age of empires. We're witnessing America as an empire. The chronological start from 1776 to today. And, that's the basis of who we are. So every nation, every king or queen's list, like you were saying with Fomenko, that would be the conspiracy. So you see where I'm coming from? Like, not conspiracy as in like a conspiracy theory, but a conspiracy of people just trying to maintain power, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, maybe. But how do you define conspiracy? Because I would define it as two or more people working
Yeah,
together with a hidden
conspire.
agenda.
Yep.
I don't think it's too hidden that people are trying to maintain the status quo, though. So maybe it is a conspiracy to some degree, but as far as a specific conspiracy to keep people from studying chronology, I don't know if that exists. I think it's just,
Okay, I
like I
see what you're
said,
saying.
nobody really
It's just our
knows.
stupidity. If we were to look, we'd be able.
Well, yeah, I don't know. And stupidity, it's an interesting topic too, because like, what is stupidity? What constitutes that? Where with certain information, if you were exposed to the fact that chronology is the baseline of history and that it's worth studying and understanding, then people would become interested in it. I mean, maybe if they're not. Yeah, stupidity, it's a difficult thing to define and to point out, because one really stupid action for one person could be a really smart action for another. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
So in your 5 years, where have you gotten so far?
5 years, I've looked into briefly at least all of the main ancient historians, and for Greek and Roman history, I've looked into quite a bit of astronomy stuff. I've really just been studying and becoming more educated on the topic, being able to use the language of these different types of studies to communicate with people that are already more educated in it, trying to instill. When I first started it, I was a bit more provocative, and I would try and provoke responses from these professionals by contacting them directly or making bold assertions that are based on the new chronology, so that they would have to address new chronology to address the assertion. But since then, maybe for the last 2-3 years now, since I started my website, I've been more so just not bugging as many people about it, but building up my collection of information so that people can see what I've already covered and where I'm heading with it, creating more of a basis, a following of people that want to learn more about chronology, or people who support me, what I'm doing, and trying to foster more professional attention to it. And so far, not many people are interested in it. I mean, it's such a, like this guy who said he could name 5 people, only name 3, and none of them really are up to my standard on it. And
Nice.
I haven't found anyone that's an expert in chronology that could tell you the basics of chronology for different parts of the world and where these different ideas come from. Like the idea that we're 2,000 years out from Christ. There's not many people that would even, like, in history, from what I understand, the majority of historians are modern historians, and these modern historians study like major world events, not like the history of history and how it was written and determined, but like, when did these wars happen? When was America founded? Things like that.
Right.
After that, potentially the next biggest group of historians are biblical historians, or people who study the Near East and Egypt and Israel and things like that. And they kind of they study just their area. They don't expand beyond that. What really blows my mind is the almost complete disregard for provenance studies, which is tracing the history of ownership or the history of an item, which is, when I say I've looked into like the fundamental records of these ancient historians because Greek and Roman history is really the fundamental backbone for most of world history, at least for European history. And as I think it's common knowledge that most history is Eurocentric. It comes through a European lens, and it's true because other countries, they weren't paying as close mind to their history until just recently with the globalization. So yeah, provenance studies, that's the history of ownership. And so some of even these big names that are into, like we were talking about, how do we know Christ was around 2,000 years? They don't know where these manuscripts come from. They might know the names of them and what's in them, but as far as the history of their ownership goes, it's not well established. I've done a bit of work on it on my website, but it's really difficult to trace anything prior to like the 1500, 1400 mark, which is where it becomes really obscure. And that's like how it is for basically every single record in existence for ancient and medieval history. They start appearing during the Renaissance. And that's enough reason for me to be a little suspicious, to at least want to be familiar with it before saying for certain, oh yeah, we can definitely trust this. This is definitely from a guy 4,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago or so.
So it's been about 2 years since you were on RX, and I took a peek at your work, and I didn't follow through, but I have noticed in the last 2 years you're saying I think there is an interest for it, and the kind of YouTube channels that are getting popular. I think right now it's at Howie. Oh darn it! This gentleman wrote a book. It's about the World's Fairs in the turn of the century here in America. A lot of suspicions there, and I guess that
was fascinating, by the way.
Yeah, and I've been interested in that for a while, but I like your approach a lot better. I'm gonna have to take a look at your website and see what you got going on, Steve.
And I can't preface it every time I open my mouth, but if you think I have something wrong, let me know. Like, I make it so easy to contact me. I got emails, Twitter, basically every main social media, every single page on my website has commenting available. I did recently set up a Start Here page on my website for people that aren't familiar with it. You can just go to the homepage, click Start Here, and it kind of gets you started out on it. I'm still working on it to figure out like what's the best way to be able to ease people into this, because it is a huge study. Like, where do you even begin to study chronology?
Your own family?
What?
Your own family.
Yeah, that's one thing I've suggested, is to start looking into your own history to establish it, and it's to make it a little bit more personal. or maybe your city or your country or your continent, but find something that really interests you and then start pursuing it from there. But be aware that you need to have methodology, and there's so many data points out there that with my website, I've definitely learned over the last 2 years on how to organize information and how to be able to quickly be able to see exactly where my information comes from. So when you see my new articles, the ones that I've published in the last 6 months or so, basically everything that I have on there that's taken from somewhere else has a citation right after the sentence. And so you can see what the number is. If it's from a book, you can see the page number. You can go and check it to make sure that I got it correct, that I didn't miss anything. I do my best to represent people's scholarship as best I can. So I do take a lot of time to sit and read it and try to comprehend it before speaking on it or trying to tell other people what it says. And yeah, the World Fair stuff is interesting. I'd be interested in checking out that book. I haven't been too impressed with any of the arguments for it. It strikes me like mostly it's people that say, look at these pictures, it's the World Fair, why would they do this? But
Well, my
I
interest
haven't
is
been exposed to it.
being in construction, and then in 2018, working here in St. Louis. Marriott Hotels bought half of St. Louis. Right? They just took all the derelict buildings, which happened to be very historical buildings. St. Louis is an old city. Anyhow, I got put on a job. I spent a year there doing demolition and then rebuilding it. But it was a Union Trust building, very famous building here. It was built in 1896. It was purported to be St. Louis's first high rise at 15 stories. But what's so funny about it is as all this is unfolding and people are looking at this stuff, I'm actually in a building seeing, I mean, I know that building from the sub basement, watch it get stripped to nothing, everything. And it was interesting to watch like a lot of these people do their work, the John Levy's and all that, because, what they accomplished back then is pretty impressive. We can't do that stuff today. I mean,
you don't think we could set that up today, the World Fairs?
We could, but we're missing something. So either we're not as intelligent as we were 100 years ago, put it that way. We weren't as organized. And I'm not saying it's not possible at all. I just like to know.
I could see that.
Right.
I'm not opposed to the idea either. I mean, those buildings do look pretty legit. Like from the pictures, they do look pretty real.
Our education system must have been completely different. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, it was completely different 100 years ago. It's changed a lot. You get illiterate college students nowadays who don't know how to read or write well. 100 years ago, that wasn't the case.
Nope.
Literacy in America has dropped as it's risen across the globe. And I think it wasn't even in the 1970s, potentially. I could be wrong on this. I think this is Robert Wilson who reported on this. I have checked statistics on it, but there was 1970s that only half of the world was able to read and write. Nowadays, it's like 98% or something. But American society in the early 1900s, most people could read and write. Like almost everyone knew how to. But nowadays, it's dropped significantly.
There's reading comprehension as well. You can read and write, but can you comprehend what you're reading and writing?
Right. And even I've struggled with that a little bit when I first started getting going on some of this. And that's why I've upped my methodology for citations and I've sat down. I think it's philology is the study for the love of languages. And
nice.
Philology is to quote somebody's teacher's teacher, it's the art of reading slowly and really taking it in and understanding what you're reading.
And multiple times as well.
Multiple times. And not just like multiple times because you read the paragraph and you're like, what did I just read? And you have to read it again, but like reading it and understanding it and reading it again to make sure you understand it.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Letting it soak in, yeah. And guys, just a heads up, we've been live for a minute now, but I just want to say hi and let everybody know, what's up out there. And yeah, we got Steven Sorensen joining us.
I'll be back on the second again. We'll get James in here.
Yep.
This was just the chill stream, last minute type thing.
This is what
Chill
it is.
stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if y'all have any questions for Steven or anything, just hit us up in the chat.
Are you working on a book, Steven?
Yeah, kind of. Like, I have all these different ideas for books, but so this is what I was thinking was a good way to go about doing a book is to write an article, get it published in a journal, be it peer reviewed or not. And then from that, I can refer to the published article in the journal and bring that to the book publishers and be like, look, this is kind of a summary of what I'm writing if you guys are interested in it. So I haven't written any articles like that. Like there's so many things that I could write books on, maybe short books, like 25, 50 pages, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe I'll wait a few more years. Well, originally I didn't want to write books because once it's written and published, and then if I want to change something in it, I have to make a new edition or revise it. And I want to really understand exactly what I'm writing about, have a wide view on it, and fully comprehend it enough that I wouldn't be able to put everything into one book. And so I'm thinking possibly towards my later 20s, early 30s, I'll start publishing books. But until then, I'm going to keep working on my website and studying the stuff and trying to get more people interested in it.
So this is my impression. I'm actually impressed because earlier on you were talking about you're an autodidact. You are self-taught, and for me that's very attractive because that's me too. I got my GED. I'm not college educated, and these are the things that fascinate me. So if I had some kind of small book or article I could turn to, you're very objective too. You seem grounded, and I still haven't heard you at all say that you have any convictions other than you're just suspicious and you're curious.
I'm definitely convicted in my suspicions.
Yeah. And me too. I'm not trying to come to some conclusions yet. I haven't really come to any conclusion yet, but if I knew a better way to study this, because what's important to me is my family. Before my father passed away, he was, this was back in, I don't know, early 2000s with the internet. It was getting our family history. He was writing a book about our family history. And he was the guy up in St. Louis, doing microfilm, to find information. Spent almost 10 years, didn't finish the book. I have it. They got a lot of work done, but just going back to my my great grandfather, his son, and his brother, who left St. Genevieve, Missouri, went north to St. Louis, Jefferson Barracks, and signed up for the Missouri 82nd Infantry Division for the Civil War. And I can trace that. He can trace it too. Now they've got Ancestry.com, Fold3. They've put a lot of stuff in archives, and I was able to find actual documents with my family members, handwriting, their everything, it shows where they were, all that stuff. And, but I had trouble because I don't have the organization skills. I don't know if there's a study guide or something or something you could put out to help guys like me.
Bug me about it. Hit me up and send me emails to keep reminding me because I got so much on my plate. But if people keep bugging me, I'll remember. That's an important thing to be able to do that. And I have put out some study guides. I put out a guide on how to do provenance research to help out with establishing the history of these manuscripts. But as far as looking into how to establish your family history, I haven't put a whole lot of time into that. I did look into my own records. I've traced my lineage, my legal lineage back to some Frankish general from the 4th century BC, but even that is suspect as to how legitimate any of that is.
Right.
I'm supposedly related to Jesse James, the train robber. It's like my one claim to fame, but even that's through legality. I'm adopted, so I don't know anything about my father's side. Kind of know about my mom's side, but not too much. But but I was raised by my adoptive parents, so they're pretty much the people that raised me, and I know more about them than I do about my biological family.
Just wait. Just wait. Wait if you get the itch. When you get the itch, my like it's weird. It's obviously probably different for everybody, but like my ex-wife, it was an interesting journey to go on with her, through like not finding but figuring it out later in life, and it was just definitely something I would never trade in, like an experience. You know what I mean? Like, because I kind of we had like a similar thing a little bit. Like whatever. I never met my biological father, kind of thing up until or pre like 2012. So there was years that we had that in common where it's like, oh, I wonder, I don't know, and then yeah, so it was just interesting once she decided to finally kind of decided she wanted to go after it, if you know what I mean. And yeah, so it's fascinating to
Just the other week, I finally decided I wanted to figure out who he was. I found his name, and then it took me maybe 20 minutes to find his home address, his phone number, his business. He's got a wife now, and
there you go.
I don't
I
know
was
if I want to
14
bug
when I
him.
met my biological father, who I was talking about. So yeah, it's pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, family history, that's a good spot to start. But yeah, no, Snake, don't feel bad about bugging me at all. It's like legit the reason why I would tell people to bug me continuously is just because I do get sidetracked and I focus in on my own thing. But I liked your suggestion, so I wouldn't be telling you to bug me if I didn't want you to.
Well, okay, because I'm very again, I'm interested in this stuff. I've been following it for a while. So what I'm seeing is, this is just my perception. You got guys like Howie right now on the circuit. A lot of these guys, the John Levy's and all that stuff. But you're very unique, again, in your objectivity, your study skills. I think you could hold your own with any conversation with any of these gentlemen, and we could probably learn a lot more if you put out some kind of book or pamphlet. Like, that's what these guys are doing, and they're getting
I
attention.
got my website. It's basically a book. It's a
Yeah, I'm gonna
book
look
that
now.
can be
I'm sorry.
changed. There's
Yeah.
I've published a ton of articles. I think I'm over 800. So there's quite a few different points that you can get into. Yeah, just hit the start here button and you'll be able to explore it really easy. Check out those articles that I got there. Yeah, John Levi's interesting. He's got a lot of interesting content. I'll say that. I don't know how much I agree with everything he puts out, but he also kind of keeps like a detached type approach. Like he brings up ideas and lets you decide on how legitimate they are, at least from the stuff that I've looked into.
Are you doing any field work? Like, is there anything you ever go on any expeditions to? Because like geography, again, you're talking about if you're going to trace anything, it would be land, buildings, properties, stuff like that. Have you ever gone in and done any field work to follow up on any of your studies?
I don't really have money to be traveling around doing any of that, but if I ever get the support, yeah, that's definitely something on the agenda to get out there and do that. But for now, it's on what I'm limited to working from my spare room. So,
we need to get you out there, dude. If you got any places you want to go, like on the top of the list.
yeah, I'd want to go to Italy. I'd want to check out Herculaneum. I have a ctruth goals thing. You can kind of check out what my game plan is for the long term here. And eventually I'd want to buy a nice plot of land and put a school down with a museum and a science lab and get a garden and a library and basically be a nice hub for scholarship for independent researchers to come to discuss and share their ideas. And then also once that's established, you can make money off of that to fund archaeological excavations on sites that are at risk. So the reason why I came up with that idea was sometimes I write news articles. I report on recent discoveries or current events related to history and chronology. And earlier this year, there were 67, I think was the number that they reported, of pre-Columbian Native American sites that were going to be destroyed because they're building a pipeline. And they were only going to be able to briefly excavate like 14 of them or something. And so it'd be great to have the public support to be able to fund archaeologists to go in there and record what's there and do like emergency excavations. And as far as field work goes, I would love to head those and check it out firsthand, to be there, to be able to see these things, to report on them. So yeah, field work is definitely in the game plan as soon as the budget allows. But right now, I think I just got up to $80 a month on Patreon. So I'm really thankful for all the support I've gotten there. And I don't get too many donations, but I figure if a college degree takes like 4 years and then that's what you use to get a job, I'm 2 years deep on my website. So I figure 2 more years out from here, we'll see where I'm at and see how everything's going. I am in college though. I am pursuing a history degree. And so as far as being, what'd you say, autodidact? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as being an autodidact, I guess I would identify with that term. I haven't really learned much from my courses at all, except for just how screwed up the schooling system is, how much time you have to waste to get a degree in history, and then just how little they actually teach you that's full of substance. They teach you about primary sources and secondary sources and scholarly sources, but they don't really teach you about how to look into that stuff and where these ideas come from. I spent some time looking into the history ideas. So actually, yeah, it's kind of weird. I posted on my Facebook the other day the question, who is the father of history? And like, I was expecting some out there answers, but I got some really out there answers. And like the majority of people gave me out there answers. Like I think only a couple of them gave like the traditional answer. And then whenever I would ask why, it's just, I don't know, it's tradition to say that. And so kind of what you were talking about earlier with repetition, it doesn't matter how many times you repeat something, it doesn't make it true. Cicero's the one who called Herodotus the father of history. And as far as he calls him the father of history in one spot. And as far as I'm aware, the next person to mention Cicero's reference to Herodotus as the father of history is Plutarch in the 1300s. And even that, Plutarch only mentions it one time in a single work that we can't really trace until about 100 years after him. And so to say for certain that Cicero called Herodotus as such, it's sketchy ground. And then that goes the same with just about all of them. You were talking about geography. Aside from chronology, geography is the other leg that history stands upon. Chronology gives the order of past events, and geography gives the location for these events. So geography is important. Fieldwork would be awesome to go do, but I do not have the money for that.
Where are you located?
Michigan.
Dude, there's all kinds of places you could be around in Michigan.
Yeah, like what would you recommend?
Well, starting off with native. Well, for instance, here I'm in Missouri, central Missouri, south of St. Louis. Just a few miles down the road, we have Mastodon State Park, and they call it Mastodon State Park because they found mastodons. But even more than that is the what they claim to be 10,000-year-old American Indian artifacts. We call them all kinds of arrowheads and stuff around here, but those types of sites are usually on private property, or you can get wind of it from construction workers walking your creeks.
There's just not much I'd be able to do on a site like that. Like I don't have money to take samples and run tests. I could look at it, but looking at it's not going to be able to do much.
Have you ever held an artifact in your hand that you've picked up on your own?
Yeah, we found arrowheads and stuff before.
That's all I mean. So that's just an example that they're everywhere. Being construction up in St. Louis, when I was in the Union Trust building, and this company I worked for went bankrupt because they were mostly used to doing demo jobs on anything 50s and older. This was an building in 1896, and it was famous for its Laredo's Diamonds. Okay, it was a mafia building, but there was a whole half the basement, the sub basement, was sealed shut since 1982, and no one knew about it. We broke through there. You want to talk about an archaeological experience, even though it was from 1982. This is field stuff. I mean, the first thing I saw when I walk in, I was one of the first guys to walk in, was a newspaper sitting on a table. That was a World Series 1982 Cardinals. It intrigues you. It gets you. It's the hands-on stuff. So whether or not in Michigan, there's got to be places you can go. Maybe even investigating some of these old abandoned buildings.
Yeah, I can leave that to other people to do for now.
Oh, he's still not interested? He's like, no.
There's just so much still to cover for the basics of like what history is founded upon. Where do these ideas come from? And that takes so much time. As much as I'd love to go explore abandoned buildings, I'd rather be in the library archives that I don't have access to yet, because you have to be a student at a specific college, or you have to go through a bunch of hoops to get the books loaned out to your own library.
You're a scholar. So here's another example. We're on a job site, just boring under. I bore underneath. I'm a tunneler. We bored underneath a small job. It was along an old road up here in North County, St. Louis. I didn't realize how old it was, but this rail line goes back to late 1800s. And in between the wood line and the road, I went to take a leak, and I look over, and there's this funny looking clear bottle. I went and picked it up, and I was like, this looks old. Took it home. The mark on the bottom of it dated it to be a pre-prohibition beer bottle, and it was just sitting up on top of the dirt. Like it, I don't even know how it wasn't buried under leaves. It had been there for 100 years pre-prohibition. So I mean, it just intrigues me. This is history. It's all over, but we're just not looking. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and it gets destroyed all the time too. Like with the pipeline being built, with your demolition work, how many bottles have been destroyed from that?
You should have seen the Union Trust building. We were doing 4, 5, 6 dumpsters a day in that building.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something to get into. I've talked to some archaeologists, but I don't know how much up my alley that is. Like I was saying, it takes so much to learn just about the basics of it, much less to condense that to create a curriculum. Like I was saying, there's no degrees in chronology, so there's classes you can take. Like I think the PhD said he had to take one class in chronology. One class in chronology. Like, come on.
Wow.
Good Lord, that's it. I was gonna say there are a couple of questions from the chat. Let's see here. Gaius asks, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Fomenko thinks nowadays Istanbul is ancient Troy and Jerusalem. Would Stephen concur? And that's one. And then two is I also read in Fomenko that the New Testament was written before the Old Testament. That, and would Stephen have any thoughts about that? Maybe for later?
Yeah, Gaius. As far as Istanbul is ancient Troy and Jerusalem, again, that I would want to get the professionals to check out the validity of Fomenko's new chronology in a non-biased, constructive criticism type way that addresses the fundamentals of it before I can concur or agree with Fomenko on any of it. I've been going through it line by line a little bit to gauge the authenticity, and so far he gets more right than wrong. But it's so, for arguments, you have your premises and then you have your conclusions, and you could have all your premises correct and still get the conclusions wrong. So Fomenko could have everything right and then still botch it on what he thinks actually happened. I'm interested in still getting people to look into that more. As far as you reading Fomenko saying the New Testament was written before the Old Testament, I actually would like a citation for that. I would just like to see exactly where it's at. I've definitely said that myself before, that Fomenko says that, and upon thinking back on it, I was like, where does he actually say that? Because I do have an article that talks about when the Bible was written according to Fomenko, and it looks like he says that parts of the New Testament and parts of the Old Testament were written simultaneously. And so some parts of the New Testament were written before the Old Testament, but also some parts of the Old Testament are contemporary. So
I've heard that.
yeah, if you can remember where you found that, drop the citation in the chat for anyone, and that would help me to not have to search it down myself. So yeah, as far as that goes, I did my own thoughts on when the Bible was written. I think for certain we can say it was around in the 1500s, but prior to that it gets a little hazy as far as where these manuscripts at.
That's kind of another thing too, where it's like, you could, speaking about the Vatican, the archives, and all that shit. It's literally, yeah, it's like how big of a pain in the ass it seems to be. People want to act like it's super secret. Yeah, that's just fun. You know what I mean? Kind of shit. It's like it is and it isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a scholar and like like you were saying, you have the bona fides to get in there, you'll get in there. You don't necessarily have to be a freaking doctor. As in Diana Walsh-Pasolka's book, she's proves that. But at the same time, it's just fascinating. Like you'd have to be so specific with your request, and because and that's also like a fun little plausible deniability kind of thing as well. Like, oh well, I don't have to go search for that to technic, or just, I could see the lazy archivist, just what I'm saying, like shit, you've run, what I mean, like that'd be a good comedy skit, like, oh man. That's actually a really good sketch.
Like goes around the corner.
Yeah.
He's like lights his cigarette. He's like looking at the clock, like puts it out, comes back to the desk. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I couldn't find it anywhere.
We'll get somebody on storyboards for this one. But no, seriously, dude, it would be, oh, that'd be too funny. But yeah, I mean, it's such a vast network, and I can't remember exactly how many miles. I can grab the book and find out, or probably just Google it.
I got the YouTube chat up now. He's saying, someone's asking where the Dead Sea Scrolls fit in. And really, it's still up for debate. We have provenance for the Dead Sea Scrolls in the we have provenance in the mid 20th century. And prior to that,
wait a minute,
we don't know.
Mysterious
cave. Wasn't it the
1940s and 50s,
yeah,
I think.
44, I felt like, or something like that. I feel like, but
yeah.
I could be wrong. Yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Qumran caves. And I have a funny quote there somewhere on my Instagram, I think. Basically, they're talking about the provenance of it, and they're saying the best thing we can do for provenance is if this guy says it's from this cave, then it's from this cave.
Yeah.
Which is not good provenance. That's not solid. And the fact that basically there's no mention of them anywhere, like there's no note that they were hidden here by someone or when they were. That's why it's all dated through carbon dating and through paleography, I think. And both of those are still up for debate as far as how valid they are. If you think they're not, please contact me. I'd love to have a discussion, but I still haven't found any radiocarbon dating experts on the internet that are willing to have a level-headed discussion about it. Same for just about any historical discipline. Show me a paleographer that's publishing on YouTube. I would love to talk to them about how the discipline of paleography developed and how do we really know exactly what this stuff is based on? How can we actually date something to the 2nd century? Because we already had this one document that dated to the 2nd century and it looks like that one. So we're going to put this one in with that one and say they're all from the 2nd century. It looks alike. So of course it's the same thing. which I think that's what it boils down to. And if my ignorance is showing right now, please speak up, because I'm 2 years deep on my website here and nobody has spoken up whenever I say that.
It seems, yeah, that seems to be the case. That, well, through this whole field, I mean, what? Yeah, like 5 chronology experts that PhD could think of, right? You said, or something along those
He
lines.
said he could think of 5. He named 3, and none of them are up to my standard.
There you go. So I mean, this is shit, man.
But maybe there are chronology experts out there. They're just hiding under rocks.
It's it's the invisible the invisible college is another invisible college, right?
Yeah, no,
Nice.
that's what I was joking with a friend the other day about it. Like, maybe there is a secret society of chronologists out there, and they're watching me, and they know. They're like, we're gonna let this guy keep going independently so that we can say it was an independent study. We're not gonna help him at all, and he came to the same conclusions as us, but that's all hypothetical. No basis for that.
Right. And well, yeah, and there's that. It's just, yeah, and then we got Corky in the chat, Randall Carlson. I mean, he just does different. Yeah,
on the history of floods.
but I mean, Tataria, yeah, is interesting. It's a
So
weird,
what was your first thought when you heard the Great Reset get into the lexicon of our
oh yeah, inserted into our living language. Beautiful.
Yeah, when did that get inserted?
within the last few months?
Build back better.
Nah, it's been more than a few months.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's.
I have a few articles on my website.
2019.
Oh, well, here we go. I can comment this in the live chat. I got the YouTube up.
There you
Nice.
go. Okay. So yeah, I mean it's yeah, we're, I don't know about the old world, new world thing.
You're talking about Tartaria and mud flood stuff.
Any of it, just how we've gotten here. But our topic last week, I guess. Oh, it wasn't last week, but right now, that Klaus Straub, and I was flipping through his book, COVID-19 and the Great Reset. So, books are being written on it.
Oh, yeah. I saw that episode. I saw part of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
But it's all this. I mean, they've been talking about this as there's plenty of evidence, and it's not. It's. Someone asked me earlier, if I thought. I want to be specific. Actually, I can't remember. I think it was something along the lines of, if I thought that certain things had been, or if they, or no, it wasn't. It was actually, now I remember. It was something about the Mandela effect or something like that. It was on Twitter. I think it was an SMQ thing, and it just feels wrong. Where was it? Let's see. Oh yeah, just it said something along the lines of, the Big Reset documentary a year ago, almost like they predicted the future. And SMQ said, "Great documentary. Don't ask me for a link. Find it yourself. All the information is there. If you can't find it, there's a good chance your ancestors are embarrassed by you." I feel like I've just found some weird inconsistencies.
It's just so backwards.
I know, to the Mandela effect theory, mainly the pre-programming aspect, as we have seen, the proverbial, they love to and have to announce themselves on a level like that of a vampire being welcomed into the domicile. Not that this hasn't been said before, but I mean, it's just like, you stop with the frickin' like, that is like the dumbest thing. Like, but the Berenstein Bears is like, I have that in the closet here somewhere. So I mean, I can prove it. I'm not kidding. If everybody wants to watch me dig, I'll do it. It's gonna be obnoxious, but I'm not kidding. So that is what it is, and I don't think there's nefarious things afoot with that too much. I've entertained it just like anybody else. Oh look, it's Gregory.
Yes.
Ding dong, Gregory.
Trans Hitler. Here we are. Come on.
Oh man, Melvin. Oh, Melvin fan. What's up, Greg?
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Buddy, you're really loud.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Is that better?
It's beautiful.
Sure.
Are you sure you're not playing Perry Como's Christmas album?
What?
You sure you're not playing Perry Como's legendary Christmas album from 1955 on vinyl?
No.
That's how sweet you sound.
Oh, okay. I didn't get the reference. I'm
It's like
sorry.
crooning.
I'm a bit slow today.
That's the only crooning I can tolerate is like Perry Como at Christmas.
No Como.
No Como. No Cuomo. No Cuomo. Glad we don't live in New York, dude.
That guy's a real piece of shit, isn't he?
Corky, yeah, he's a real champion actually. Thank you though, cause the name. Oh, and the phrase makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm parsing this out right now like a jerk. But no, wait, it wasn't from Brisson and Weaver and Documents channel. I feel like it was, but that's okay. But that's me. The name is why you're here. If that's what you're trying to tag, which would be. But I'm David Barsky, just as a heads up. Cool. Unless you're saying the name is cool, which thank you. It came to me out of nowhere. And it's fun. But yay, Merry Christmas, right?
Yes.
Yay.
Merry Christmas.
So, how's your week been? Good?
Good. I went through a drive-through nativity scene, which was interesting enough.
That sounds fun. Guess what? John Brisson was doing that tonight. Shout out, John.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, guess what what happened after I went through it? Saw a fucking UFO.
Yes.
Yeah, an orange orby thing doing. First I thought it was an airplane or something, but
like legit, because I've seen 3 literally over the past 7 to 10 days. I've gotten 3. Okay, I'm not kidding you guys.
Interesting.
I'm not cutting you off, but I have to say this: I've seen 3, and each time I've had witnesses with me, and I've pointed it out and said, "What the hell is that?" And everybody's going, "Yeah, what the hell? I don't see it. I don't see it." And then they see it, and they go, "Yeah, wait a minute, what is that?" And then it's an airplane, and it just looks whatever. So literally, for the first time in my life, let alone where I've gone, holy shit, what is that, you guys? And they're not rolling their eyes going, it's just Barsky. It's literally they find it, see it, go, what the hell? I mean, we're talking, these are friends since I was literally like 15, 16 years, like, you know what I mean? So they'd give credence to it for a long enough time to where we're like almost driving for a mile or less, a little less than a mile, and then all of a sudden it was a plane. Weird. That didn't look like, you know what I mean, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So just saying, that's just whatever. So I already cut you off and I'm already rambling.
Oh no, it's fine. It was just, I mean, I thought it was a plane at first, but it moved, then stopped, then moved again, then stopped.
How high up?
Like not that high up from the mountain range. So it's hard. I mean, because like I went out kind of deep. So like where I was at, there's Reno and then there's Sparks. Sparks is like the Illuminati version, like side of, or Shelbyville of that area. Okay, right, like it's like all pyramids and like Masonic stuff. It's a whole nother story altogether. But like we went to a farm, so it's out kind of like in the boonies near Pyramid Lake, and so it's really dark. So, but yeah, we just saw something flying around. It was orange. So it wasn't blinking.
Family, were they in the vehicle?
Yeah, it was right after we saw. So the synchronicity was that, because since the corona, you can't go anywhere. So that we're driving through this like lane of cars, and there's like 40 of them.
Where you are, like you're not in lock. We're not on lock.
No, we're not in lock, but everyone's complying.
What? Complying? There's no lockdown. Like we're not on some lockdown here.
I know, but they're complying.
Mind control is people control, for God's sake.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, this is weird. Like, but I get it. Cali's on some weird shit, but you're in Nevada.
Well, we're kind of like new. Whitmer. Well, we're New California. Like everything actually during this whole period got gentrified like in 8 months. Like they like completely redid the whole midtown, downtown area, and it all looks like Berkeley. Because I lived in Berkeley, so I know they even made the streets smaller. I don't know why they would do that, because we have more people now, but they're like, yeah, let's make the streets smaller, and the sidewalks larger. But anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt though.
No, this is good. This is a good digression too.
Could it have been a Chinese lantern?
I guess it could have, but it moved really fast and then stopped, and then moved again, and then stayed still.
I don't know if you've heard what's transpired since you stepped away for a moment, but our friend Greg here, Steven Bucephus,
Nice to meet you.
Greg, sorry, whatever.
Likewise.
He was out with the family earlier, and he was in Reno. You want to tell him?
So we were going through a drive-through nativity scene, which was funny in itself. I thought it was pretty funny because it's like, you know, you can infer how that's funny. But right when we
Drive-through
get to
nativity.
like, everybody stay safe. Jesus, you don't want to give him the corona. Yeah, like he'll wear a mask, sure. You know, what leopards? No, he wore a mask.
Lepers.
So the synchronicity was though, right when we passed to where they had this like big star lit up, that's when I saw the UFO. So to me, that was like some weird syncy stuff. I don't know. But
So what were the reactions of everybody in the?
well, my wife saw it, and we were both looking at it because we're going like 2 miles per hour through this thing, so we're just in a line of cars.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then like my son put on he was like, because my son's just turned, he's going to turn 2 like in 2 days. So we have him in the front, and he's like pushing all the buttons. And I had my CD player. You know, I still have a CD player, but in there,
you can't not have one.
right? Well, they had this like audio version of the nativity scene, which was
you tune in, right? Yeah, you tune in.
It was terrible. So he pushes the button and it starts playing Ohm. I don't know if you heard that band.
Yes.
You're
playing Ohm?
Yes, I started playing Ohm.
No way.
Stupid.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's weird. So it set the mood.
Who are you talking to?
Well, I figured you did.
Ohm is in your CD player.
Yeah, and I forgot
I
I was
love
in.
it, Greg.
This is what I'm saying, Aaron.
Anyways, I digress.
It's a good digression into Ohm. So Ohm.
I got abducted after that shortly, and they put things in.
Damn it, Whitley.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just random. And I was saying though, Greg digressing harder.
I am
further and further, but that I had seen literally three objects in the sky that were literally had me and multiple witnesses duped driving the past 7 to 10 days, I'd say. No joke. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of just like, what the hell? And literally trailing it for a minute, going, what is that? I don't know. Like, what the hell is that? And then all of a sudden, it's a plane. And it's just not whatever. So I was just weird. Not weird, whatever. It is.
Have you seen Starlink yet?
I've seen it in my Night Sky app that I've used to track certain things and make sure that I'm seeing when I think it's Mars, and there's good old Lucy.
There's a woodcut from Nuremberg, 1515, where they had a supposed event. We've all seen it. They use it, but when I saw Starlink, and it was April 15th, 2019, I was actually on a Zoom chat with like Andy Kaufman and all these friends of mine anyway. And they kind of witnessed me watching this, and my family saw it, but it was Starlink, but it was more. So Starlink, it had to have been 80 to 100 of these things just going in a straight line. And I had no idea what Starlink was. So it freaked me out at first. And on the Zoom chat, everyone was like, oh, that sounds like Starlink. That was my first introduction to it. But the thing that I can't explain was one of them broke formation, made a 90-degree turn, which my daughter witnessed with me, right out of formation. And then every other star in the night sky started moving too. It was an experience. But the best way I can describe it is looking at that woodcut from Nuremberg, 15, I think it was. Same month too.
I've got
some kind of phenomenon.
I have the references here to grab it out of a book, I'm sure. But I don't.
It's a phenomenon. I don't know. You know.
Have you got I don't know if any of you guys have checked out at those like AR apps or whatever of the night sky and all that stuff, but like it's disgusting how much Starlink shit is up right now. It's insane. It is insane. And I don't know how, like, I'm out kind of in suburbia here, and I can, like, I'm just far enough away from Milwaukee Chicago, I can't look south. It's all just like gross.
Yeah, Freeman Fly's been talking about it since he follows that stuff. Apparently, he's posting on Twitter all the time. But we're getting 2, 3, 4 launches a week, more than ever.
And that's
since
another like that. It's weird in that Space Force shit today. Did you see that, Steven?
The Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is going on? Like, what? Like, who's doing? Like, why?
Is it a troll? Feels like a
That's
troll.
that's what I'm. It felt like a troll, right? Like it felt like, but it felt like a serious troll. It felt like y'all are.
What's the
taking,
Guardians?
Like,
oh, that's the new.
The name they settled on for the
Yeah.
new Space Force.
Yeah, for some, we don't even know. They weren't even. I don't know how they weren't very specific, or I didn't care to even read any further. I just kind of laughed and said, "I gotta keep scrolling for some reason."
yeah, Guardian is from what, gentlemen?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like okay, and I know we try to, or I try to downplay stupid garbage like the obelisk and that kind of thing, and just say, well, it means something, but don't whatever, don't miss the meaning, but don't pay too much attention to it, kind of thing. But with this, damn it, what were we just saying? We're just talking about
Just the Guardian's name.
Oh,
where
the
the
Guardian.
Guardian from.
The guy. Okay, so yeah, so how much I downplay and kind of criticize silly shit like that in the news. Well, everybody's heard the story by now of that Israeli guy that went on the record talking about how there's a federation, a galactic federation. This thing that Donald Trump knows. He's aware of it but can't say anything, which we all know is rehashed shit from the internet. Like anybody that like. But apparently, Jeremy Corbell. I don't know if any of y'all watched that either. If you watched his actual Jeremy's interview with the dude, he interviewed the reporter who interviewed the Israeli general, Chaim Eshen or some shit. I don't know his name.
Israel did not do 9/11, by the way.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you. For 5 minutes.
In case that comes up,
then I'll change my mind. And I won't know again. But no, I honestly think like, what is it really Bluebeam? I mean, it has been, but that seems like super last resort. I mean, it's fun to just joke around about and laugh about, but what is that? What is that? What's the relevance of that? Why? Okay, I understand spreading disinformation from researching the UFO topic like a psychopath, and then you know what I mean, and then just being like, okay,
this is why we don't know our chronology where we come
right.
from.
This is
Exactly.
We'll come full circle here in a second. The thing is like, so literally putting like nose to grindstone, being a jerk, and just consuming and I don't know. Jacques Vallée is the only one that's resonated. Like, okay, I feel like there's whatever is here is valid. There's no speculation on just, whatever. The point is I think what's the significance of how we talk about like code and how things are always going to be put out in some sort of code, like with the obelisk. There's a message being sent there, right? It's like, besides disinformation, right, or misinformation or some form or fashion of that, what else is the point of even circulating such salacious trash in all reality? And I mean, seriously, for real though, what's the benefit of that?
Are we talking about the Mossad Israeli story still, or are we talking about
no, I'm
in general?
saying there's relevance to this, and I feel like it's almost for fun, for like esoteric purposes, for like decode, like not decoding necessarily, but kind of trying to pick out some sort of what could that possibly what message could this be conveying?
Well, I don't know. The people we're talking about specifically are claiming that Jerusalem is theirs. Well, you got Fomenko, who says that Jerusalem is actually located in Russia. We know that up until they ended up where they're at, they were looking in Africa, all
He
kinds
says
of places.
Jerusalem's a place name and that there were a bunch of them. He says that
Yeah.
the Jerusalem described by Josephus was in Russia, but that there were also other Jerusalems outside of Russia.
And
Led
well,
credence to Russia or to
yeah.
Orthodoxy. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, they're writing history with their dominance over our media and everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
We don't even know.
doesn't Zeitgeist write history? I mean, that's how it seems to be. It when we're not at like like murdering when the planet isn't under narrative control, so to speak. At such a high level, I think. Like so. Well, granted, World War II, World War One, the propaganda looking back is so glaring. It's not even funny. But obviously, techniques get more and more refined over the years.
Let's entertain their claims that aliens are here and all that stuff.
Okay.
And let's just say that they landed in 1947, but because of national security and whatnot for our protection, they had to keep that secret from us. Well, whether they've decided to let us know the true history of the alien landing in 1947 or not, how are we going to ever know? I mean, this is back to the chronological. Everything's a national.
We have to go back further because the first actual,
Right.
the first actual goes back. I mean, you know how far it goes. It's biblical, pre-biblical apparently. From if we want to go there, but I'm not going to go there. We'll just start in 47. Well, we could. I feel like 1897 is the only place you can, if you are going to chronologically start with the UFO topic. What do you think, Steven?
I think you can trace it back further than the 19th century.
I'm saying no. I'm saying documented, anecdotal evidence that's been. I think you know where I'm going.
Yeah, I don't know. I was more into UFO stuff like 7-8 years ago. I haven't really.
I'm referring
swam
back
in that pool for a bit.
Dimensions. Jacques Vallée, like I can grab it right now off the shelf and probably pull. And I know that the 1897 airships were like the most. I think in France and in America here, those are the most, I guess, like where everybody wants to. It's easy to start at 47 because of the United States, but there's stuff in Wisconsin here. Like there's one case. This is the case just west of here, about 55 miles. Is the case where the guy was handed a cosmic pancake or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So like no joke, that happened right up the way. So,
got a couple cosmic pancakes. I don't think they're the same kind though.
But yeah, dude. I think yeah, right. That was pretty delightful. But no, I just okay. So let's entertain it for a second then. All right, we'll just for not wasting time's sake, we'll say 1947. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Snake.
No, my attitude is like, yeah, I'm starting to get angry because it's
I know.
No, it's important to know where I come from, and I got these political agendas and these wackos like this trying to tell me that aliens are here now. It's like, oh, great.
No, wait. So it's the way I've like just from, and Steven, if you went deep into it like really hard, I don't know, anywhere near as hard as I did back when you did dig into this topic, it feels like you can, well, I don't know, Sitchin I've debunked him early. Thought that was pretty lazy. But I get why people got caught up in it. Strieber, I read his stuff. I read Mac. I read a lot of that stuff, and then not attaching myself to any one thing, any one belief system. Saying, "Oh, they're from space." Fuck you! Don't even start with space right now with me because, like, no, sorry. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about it still. So. About space. So the thing is then you strip that away and kind of have, like, I feel like the ultra terrestrial kind of thing that makes the most sense to me personally, than just a space narrative, because a space narrative is just too convenient. It's too convenient to build up our defenses. You know what I mean? It's so it's diabolical on multiple levels of how to build something like Space Up, and the fear of.
Look what they've done with a TV, an innocent thing. It's supposed to be for entertainment. They've literally destroyed so much when we gave them the TV. Now we're letting them have space. We're screwed. We're gonna do all
They've had
kinds of
space, though.
horrible things.
They've had space. I don't know what to make of certain. What I'm curious to know your take, Stephen, on like.
Those are just such weird generalizations. Like I don't remember ever giving anyone them at least the TV. The TV was around here way before I ever was.
Right.
No,
right.
you know what I
You
mean.
mean our
Technologies.
I still use the TV for all sorts of stuff, mostly educational stuff, occasionally for like
Right,
watching
there's
Netflix.
yeah, there's value to. I've very little redeeming value left for me personally.
I was watching your podcast on the TV just the other day.
Exactly. There's obviously
Nice.
that medium. You know what I mean? And thank you. Like
Good
that
answer.
medium is- but
Shameless plug. Yeah, no, like that's. I think most people now with TV, like say millennial, maybe even some more, but we don't really watch
25.
TV anymore. So
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, most stuff is just streaming platforms now. People watch that.
Right.
And I guess for the most part, like the majority of people already weren't spending their time on educational stuff. It was always a select few that were actually doing that. And I love the technology. I think it's great. The only way we're even able to do this is through technology that we have.
Right.
Yep.
It's a matter of just being able to detach.
it's a tool, just like anything
Yeah,
else.
exactly, dude. It's a gun.
Smash
With
a head or
it can be
blow
weaponized.
minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're back to like I mean, I'm going to take it back. We're talking about the Israeli general telling us that there's aliens and
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
but
My whole
Dude,
take on the alien thing is pretty much like the God thing. Like,
yeah,
if someone believes there's a God and this God can show up at any time, like, let him show up. And then maybe we can start discussing it. But until then, it's just this guy claiming it. If somebody
on.
really thinks that there's aliens out there and they could show up at any time, let them show up and we'll take it from there. Until then,
nice.
who knows?
To put it into a box is your own bad. So go if you need to do that so you can go on with your life and live comfortably. Fine, fair enough. I don't need to do that necessarily. It's fascinating. These topics are fascinating to me, just to entertain and speculate on. But as far as it goes, I don't hold any. I mean, I really don't hold any belief system. You know what I mean? As like whatever, because it's clearly. I don't know.
I'm aware that the ideas exist out there. I don't necessarily support them or condemn them.
Right. But I mean, at the same time, though, it's offensive. There's like a level to where this stuff gets like it starts to insult our intelligence, and I think that's a valid cause for rebellion. That's a valid cause for dissent, and that's where people like us come in. It's like, okay, no, you know what I mean? I guess, and just calling it for what it is, and not taking any kind of not taking any political stand, not taking any sort of anything. It's just kind of like this is inherent.
The integrity of our history, of our chronology. Like people are always inserting. I know that's not going to go away, but you know, we'd have a whole better of an idea of a lot of this stuff that we're trying to figure out if there always wasn't some kind of agenda at play, you know.
And I know
it sucks.
It sounds paranoid and stupid, but at the same time, it's not, because as long as you, it sounds paranoid when you're out like a Christian who just found God and you're trying to shake people out of their stupor, and that's just called being tacky. You know, that's just you're being, you know, there's no tact to that whatsoever. It's like, for example, yesterday when I discovered that Millie Weaver was interviewed by Daniel, dark journalist, I was disgusted, and I went on there and I immediately commented, "Wow, the grift! the poor girl. Wow, she spent a night in jail. How awful it must have been. And then she ties it as like, boy, you know, she knew who she was working for. Alex fucking Jones, controlled weirdo opposition, fucking, you know, all this shit. Then she's all worried about, then blah, blah, oh, your story's awful. You know, like, and in the comments, and I was like, this girl's just out for a grift. Look at her name, blah, blah, blah. We've all talked, you know, we know how I feel about this. You guys do. And the entire queue, all of it, like, shut up. Gives a shit about Donald Trump. Like, shut up. But anyway, point is this one person commented and said, well, have you ever watched the Shadowgate documentary? You should watch it then, or you clearly haven't, and you should learn something or something like really like rude. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's how I was like, that's a really tactful way to try to get somebody to come around to your side. You know what I mean? Like,
it's really weird because a lot of those types of people they would claim to be anti-authoritarian, but then
they're ushering
they're trying to use their authority to tell you what to do with your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's antithetical. It's a total freaking joke. These people don't like these are the dime store queue, which this is bred, which is delegitimized so much alternative research and it's delegitimized things, and then it's also polarized this community, like not even community, it's like whatever niche where we deal with, right? It's like that automatically just becomes lumped in, and like, not to say, oh, but dude, I never bought Q, not for 1 second. I was like, what? This is weird. I'm not gonna buy into anything, because dude, you're an idiot if you buy into anything. Like, it's like I might as well go confess my or not confess, what would it be, like I may as well go to the church of like the LDS and say I'm a full-blown Mormon. Can't help it, I was born this way, I'm coming out of the closet now. No, seriously, like I think like that's the extent of it. Literally, I mean, that's the best way I can actually
I went looking for Jesus and I found Odin. I was like, what?
Yeah, so here I am.
Cool.
Yeah, whatever. Like, it's cooler than Joseph Smith's like Enochian wannabe shit he's got going on. What? No, not Melchizedek. How dare I disrespect that ancient genius? But no, not Melchizedek. What's Moroni? Is that his name? That's the Joseph Smith's personal angel.
Jesus.
That's his name, right? Gregory. I know your name is Salt Flat. This Great Salt.
So let's say that a catastrophe hits the world, and the only people that survive are the Mormons, because they've got all the underground bases and they've been preparing.
Yeah, no, I got Mormons on my wife's side of the family. They all prepare. They have like at least 6 years worth of like food and
break it off
like
now.
Supplies and stuff. They all get along. So
what kind of chronology are we looking at after
that? They all get along, strangely enough. Most of the time, I'm sure there's a few bastards, but I don't know. They got a good community. I think right now that's huge. If you can have a coherent community, and also you're like preppers, fuck, you're doing good.
You are doing good, especially when you own like all the archives, all in the DNA data banks, right?
They have also one of the largest
paper archive
hedge funds or something like that. Or
you mean our friend Brendan Fugel from Skinwalker Ranch fame, the new owner, Adamantium Real Estate.
My grandma was a prepper. She survived the Depression.
But was she a follower of Brigham and Smith and Joseph, our brother Joseph?
Nah, she was a scrubby Dutch.
Pennsylvania Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
Shot in the dark. Maroney. Yep, macaroni. Okay. So yeah, but no, let's finish real quick. Right, this goofy shit in the news. Okay, so the fact that Jeremy Corbell interviewed the guy, and for all of you, I don't know if you're all familiar with Corbell.
No.
Corbell is the guy who brought Bob Lazar on Rogan. He's the guy that brought George Knapp on Rogan. He's the guy that
never followed Rogan. Never followed Alex Jones.
Is he the filmmaker? Did he do that movie about?
Yeah, he did
Bob
Patient
Lazar,
17. Yeah, Bob Lazar. Yep. Okay, so and oh man, I should play some clutch, but no, I don't want to get.
Yes.
I know. So okay, so yeah, so Corbell interviewed Fravor early too, like Commander Dave Fravor, who had was the pilot for the F-18 that has the Tic Tac blob off the Nimitz, blah blah blah. So basically, I don't know. So and in Jeremy's 20-minute interview, which he was pretty concise with, I didn't come away honestly. I don't know I didn't know what to make of it, and I could tell Jeremy didn't know what to make of it, and he's the type that will literally, and because Jeremy, I had correspondence with him before when he was before Skinwalker Ranch, he even got that gig. It was weird, but we were corresponding, and he was super nice, and blah, blah, blah. So, it's weird now that, and he would always be like, if these people are lying to me, I'm gonna flip the documentary around, and I'm going to expose them. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point here. I'm just fascinated by this, and it's kind of got me by the, balls a little bit here, but I can't seem to, disprove any of this shit. So I mean, so he's coming at it from a like a standpoint of like, I'm gonna fuck you if you're lying, in any way or whatever. If I catch any inconsistencies, like that's why he lived with Bob Lazar. Like it was like a weird situation. I don't know. I like Jeremy, and it just seemed like he, if he was putting out disinformation, he would say, I'm sorry, like, I'm sorry, or felt bad about it. He felt like the story needed to be told. I didn't feel like any of it was, I don't know. It was weird. It didn't change my view of it any less. But I did say to myself, there's something here. You know what I mean? Like, as stupid as the story is, I feel like there's something here that's, not necessarily true, but maybe. I don't know, like some hint, but I won't say it's by means even 10% of what this gentleman said, But I guess what it seems to portend would be some blue beam type shit, right? And whose narrative was that? Whose narrative is that? Like right now, like obviously it's Von Braun, and he knows that that's what it's tied to in pop culture and in ufology. But I mean, what else is this?
Well, here's something with Bluebeam. So aliens land, right?
Right.
Do we get a new AD? Is it a new timeline? Do we
Vulgaris, you mean?
after this great reset and the aliens land and all that stuff? I mean, are we just gonna forget all our history up to this point and just be in awe of the event and they can do what they do?
They'd probably call it AC, after contact.
Right?
AC.
DC.
So I mean, there's your there might be the reason for all that. I don't know. It's so bizarre. Here we are just trying to figure out, like, the spell of the Genesis story out of the Bible. Like, this is new for me. This is my last year. It dawned on me that I might not be at all from Adam and Eve, and I just always thought I was because, it's the Bible, and I never thought that I could actually not be of Adam and Eve or Cain and Abel and all this lineage. What if my lineage is something entirely different, which I know it is,
I mean, can I ask you something? And I don't know, this is an open question to everybody. I guess like with the psychedelics kind of like opening things up in unintentional way, if you know what I'm saying, because none of us probably were like, oh, I'm looking for a religious experience. Like I know when I first dropped acid or whatever, that was not my intent by any means. But the point is I think we need to factor that. Is it coming from? Okay, so like how when it's a religious experience, I don't know how many of you guys here have besides what I'm sure. Steven, you ate mushrooms?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh yeah, go Steven.
Snake, right? Yeah, of course. So that experience, we now can use it in the form of like better ourselves, kind of. We kind of have like that. I know when the last time I did that was fun, but more importantly, I'm at a point in my life where I'm stable, good with this. You know what I mean? This
Hmm.
will help. Point is I always feel more connected to the one big breathing thing that is whatever the fuck this is, right? God, whatever you want to call it. Because that feels like what it is, divine. I know that much. I know it's divine. That's as far as I can really go, I guess. But yeah, that connection with that divine force, whatever you want to call it, makes me. It confirms what you just said, essentially. Like, yeah, that you know, we would always assume if religious or not, kind of, but you brought up, I don't know, evolution, they'll school, you know, Steve, like what we were talking about earlier, school's going to determine Rockefeller putting all, you know, there's so much to unpack, but I don't know. Again, I just started talking in circles, so
Rambling, dude.
I know.
It's all right. It's like, because this isn't, there's a reason why people stay away from this stuff. I get it. You know, you can wander off.
It's hot.
But
And then, yeah, it's weird. Like, you can't, like, it's hard to make sense of because you're talking in like multiple, like, metaphysical, like, bouncing all around from, do you know what I mean? Like, it's
There's many mysteries still to be found and sought, and
well, thank God for that too,
Yeah.
because what they're trying to do to us, I'd say, is they're always like, well, there is no more mystery. Science and everything's figured it out. Well, that's a crappy world to me. I prefer the mystery.
Who's they
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
scenario?
the Almighty, like the
This is like a Church of the Subgenius thing. You guys know what that is?
yes, I
Yeah.
They.
Hey, what-
That's all I can think about when people
Right.
say they without being specific. I'm like, it's them.
Well, I'll be
They're
specific.
trying
How
to
about
Right.
keep this from us.
the Christians? Look at the Bible. You said,
Which
well,
Christians? There's like thousands of sects.
I know.
oh my God. Fine. Judeo-Christians. How's that? Those guys are the most confused.
Yeah, but even in that, there's a lot of different sects of Judeo-Christians.
Yeah.
And even within the sects themselves, there's schisms between the members.
It's all oxymoronic anyway.
Yeah, it's like going into like Robert
Yeah.
maybe logic kind of territory.
That's the point. It's got that inversion factor. Judeo-Christian. Get out of here, dude. Those two don't work.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I've always, I laugh every time I hear that. That's
It's like a Christian Satanist.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, dude. Or Christian Science, like James Hetfield's poor movie.
Christian is a Christian does. But back to like timelines and chronology, just like with Genesis, you know, or just you got to establish this is what they do. You would establish a creation. So back to like Joseph Campbell and collective mythology, you know, we've all gone through that. You know, you looked at the Sumerian creation. Oh, that's what it is, Gilgamesh. Or you look at the biblical Genesis. Oh yeah, that. Or if you've ever entertained the ideas of the Native Americans, you know, Glooskap or any of these creation stories, there's your timeline. So, I mean, so it goes back to the question, who am I to say there is no God? Well, who am I to say that, you know, their creation story or their timeline is wrong?
It's wrong. Yeah, exactly. It's like that atheist thing yeah.
We neglect all types of peoples. Like what's the Indian, you know, Bhagavad whatever. I mean, that's supposed to be the oldest. Yeah, oldest known writing.
Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita.
Reminds me of Iron Butterfly song, but that's what I mean. It's where I get lost. Like, so Stephen, you're talking about, I guess, before you use a lot of European Roman history, I guess, right? But what about all the others? Like, where do you start?
Well, talking about Indian history, Indology, that was mostly established by the Brits when they took over.
Really?
Finally, the Indians started getting in on it, and the early chronologers that got into India, most of them were commenting on how chaotic it is and how scattered their records are, talking about the Bhagavad Gita. If you want to try and trace the surviving records of the Bhagavad Gita, go for it. But it's difficult to figure out exactly where they are, what the oldest copies are. Some of them weren't really preserved all that well. It's depending on where you're at in India, it's not the best for manuscript preservation. And they didn't really care much, depending on who you're talking to keep their records safe and protected. And then a lot of it is legend and chaos. And
wow.
What do you think of Library of Alexandria? Do you buy all? I don't buy all that.
Have they ever found any evidence of that, or they just have the story about it?
That's all I see. That's the thing. If there's just the story, then I don't know what to make of it.
Nice.
I remember asking around a little while ago what sources mention it, and I don't remember ever getting too many substantial answers on that. Alexander the Great, he's part of the Alexandria Library, right? He was who's named after, I think, himself. His records are mostly scattered. They come to us in fragments from copies of writers looking after other writers, and then those manuscripts themselves don't date until a lot later too. So it's just really sketchy. It needs more eyes and attention on it.
Wow. I just assumed that was pretty well established. The
what?
Indian, I can't say it. Bhagavad Gita, whatever.
Bhagavad Gita or
yeah.
Yeah. You thought it was pretty well established?
Yeah, I didn't know it came from the Brits. I didn't even think about any of that.
No, it doesn't come from the Brits, but the datings, trying to put that into perspective as to when it actually happened, it's
because they occupied.
So the early people that were commenting on it, they're coming from a European perspective when they're commenting on it.
Perspective. But yeah, when you get to, I don't mean to cut you off, Stephen, but like when you get to that point, it feels like, if you can actually view, I think, a lot of that as how, like, you can view that situation kind of like with the Hong Kong situation, and so many, like, it took me a minute to put it together actually, but those kung fu movies, those great, like the Shaolin, like the Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? They sample all those movies, like whatever. RZA bought all of them up and then re-released them. Those are all the reason they have hilarious English accents from the 60s is because that's Hong Kong. Those are those flicks, you know what I mean? Like a lot of those kung fu movies were done, you know what I mean, with the permission, and then that's why they had like exclusively English, British overdubs, you know what I mean? So it's funny to think about.
Well, Chinese history specifically is really interesting.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating. And
there's a popular claim that they have 4,000 years of uninterrupted history.
Right.
But
yeah, the dynastic,
as far as provenance goes and where those records are today,
good luck, so sketchy. Dude. Think about what Mao alone, right? And getting rid of the four olds and all that stuff. Dude, think about what was lost there. What do we have? Like, I don't know, because we're isolated from that part of the world. I don't know. I'm sure as a scholar, you could go over there and study, as I know many have. Many have. But I'm sure they're being shown. I don't know. I honestly can't say. I'm not gonna hold out any kind of actual opinion on that.
For my own research, it's been incredibly difficult to try and find these fundamental records for this 4,000-year-old history.
What do you specifically, in general, like, what are you looking for when you were to inquire?
So the father of history, according to the Chinese, is, I'm not sure how to say his name. It's Sima Quan or something like that, Sima Qian, who was writing around the turn of the zero mark, where we put the common era or the Anno Domini at. But his records, the records of the grand historian, it's still really difficult to locate what are the surviving records. So it's textual transmission. So let's say he did write those, and the guy some 2,200 years ago wrote these down. How did they get to us today is the question. And typically you can't trace that prior to like 1400s, 1500s. And even that, like the fundamental records for it potentially are available on Chinese websites or other Asian languages, and they're not accessible to me because I don't know how to navigate those types of characters on the internet. But if there's any bilingual English speaking that also speak Chinese and they're aware of that, like, please bring it to my attention. Again, this is one of those things I've been asking for years now. And people would bring to me like, oh, the bamboo shoots and discovered in the 1900s. Like, come on, where were they prior to that? They're like, oh, it was lost as soon as they wrote it. And then 1900s, we finally found it again. Sometimes the 1800s, you can trace them to. Yeah. And then they put them into perspective based on the bias of already thinking they know the history of China, when really it starts to become less obscure around the 1600s, 1700s. And even then it's still kind of obscure. But yeah, so as the original question that Snake Jones had asked was outside of the Eurocentric worldview, there are other histories that have been written, like the Indian history, Chinese history, Japanese.
Thank you. Yes.
Even some Russian histories. But so for Russian history, for example, it was mostly Germans that spearheaded that. It wasn't for a while that actual native Russians got interested in it. And even then it was already well established by German scholars as to what had happened in Russia. For American history, even to talk about that, it's still really Eurocentric. They split it between post and pre-Columbian. They used like I was talking about the pipeline that was being built earlier this year. It's not ancient Native American sites that are being destroyed. They're pre-Columbian. And so it's taken from a Eurocentric standpoint. That's the distinguishing factor on how we date these, is when Columbus got there and afterwards. So it's a huge mark, and it's it really is really incredibly Eurocentric, regardless of where you're looking at. European scholars got there and established the histories, and then I mean, there were still historians at the time in these different places, but I don't know if you could call it a scientific approach to history. It was more so the history of their time. But again, I'm open to being shown wrong on this. If anyone's more of an expert, I'm open for having these discussions. But as far as I'm aware, it's all incredibly sketchy. Europeans got their hands in it first, and we have built upon that for our conception of world history.
So here's a question. What would be the best way to actually record history that would be, in stone and paper, or what would it take?
Yeah, I would probably say stone, maybe etching it into stone, since that lasts for so long. But even then, like, I don't know if you could really say the best way, since there's so many factors as to how history could be destroyed. The records are dismantled or scratched out. So really determining what the best way to record history is kind of it's on a case-by-case basis as to how you would go about that, where one person's best shot is to write something into stone, another person's best shot's to post it on the internet.
Could this be some phenomenon? Maybe even it's not even intentional, because maybe there just really is no guaranteed way to keep a world history. With the world we live in, with earth changes, or just the way it is human nature to evolve and change, or cultures, maybe we're just kind of screwed when it comes to.
Yeah, we're working with missing pieces. So even our own perception as to how our reality tunnels, we only get a sliver of what's actually going on. And then as far as history goes, there's, I don't know how many events occurring as we're talking right here that none of us are going to be able to receive and write down. So
nice.
It takes perception, it takes awareness of what the limitations are as to what we can really, I take an epistemological approach to all this on how do we know things? Can we know things? And if we can, what can we know? And how do we go about obtaining that information? Really, what is the basis for an idea? that's why I really stressed when we approach a topic if we're focusing on a claim or a question, to keep it simplified into one claim, one question that we can thoroughly explore, and then we can move on to the next thing from there. I think that's probably the best way to approach it. Maybe not the best way to record it, but as far as methodology goes, I'm open for other people's suggestions. But yeah, step by step, baby steps until we can walk and run.
Yeah, I mean, maybe everybody's trying to go to the moon and stuff, and we don't even know our own history. Maybe we should be trying to solve that problem. I mean, we talked about the Vatican and their library before, but it's amazing that the world hasn't come together to, come with a preservation of world history for real.
That's the thing, is that people have different interests, and I support people chasing their interests. And there's only so much time in a person's life, and if you don't want to spend any of your time looking into academic stuff, I think that's your own choice to do. Like, I could definitely understand wanting to chill on the beach every single day and not doing really anything other than chilling and surfing and eating. Like, it sounds like a decent life to me. Even if you never had heard the name Constantine before, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad choice. And if you really wanted to try and get to the moon and like that's your sole objective in life, then go for it. If you really want to do that.
To the moon.
I personally want to learn about human history and where we came from, and what we can know and how these things are dated. When we see news headlines that say 3,000-year-old temple unearthed, how is that age determined? Those are the types of things that I want to understand and know about.
Nice.
So I encourage people to join me in that, because I think it's important for having a well-rounded view of what's happened in the past. And even that is history. It takes a bit of time. People are interested in epistemology, even if they don't know it. Like, people interested in what they know and stuff. Really, the eletheology is the subdiscipline of epistemology, and eletheology is the study of truth, or the nature of truth. And even if you've never heard that word, you could have years of trying to investigate the truth, what's really happened, what is true, without ever knowing that there's actually a discipline specifically about that. And I think it can help people to focus in on really grind the axe on these different disciplines, so that you can
Trivium.
use those tools to get into greater stuff. Yeah, trivium is interesting.
Quadrivium.
Yeah, trivium is definitely a good base to start with before you move into the quadrivium, and then even those are pretty limited as for their applicability. That's some medieval stuff.
Here's another concept. Maybe we're just not that important to even know our history. You get what I'm saying?
I think importance is subjective. People assign importance to things. I don't know if we have any inherent importance.
I know it's a joke. I mean, I almost sometimes I hope the last 30 years of American history is just forgotten forever. It was bad. We just didn't exist.
I don't know about that. I think every little bit of history is important. It's kind of like the butterfly effect. Even something that doesn't seem important could eventually mean the whole world to someone else. So that kind of goes back on pursuing your passion. Find something that you're really interested in and hone in on it.
Yeah. Yep.
I hope John Paul to show up properly. This is frustrating.
What are you reading?
I don't know if you can LiDAR books. I don't think that would work.
You say LiDAR books?
Yeah, someone's commenting in the chat. Let's LiDAR the Vatican Library.
Dude, they probably did, right? They had to have by now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We can use X-ray technology though to look into books without having to open them, which would be interesting. Yeah.
I'm kind of into that now.
Yeah, that's why I want to go to Herculaneum, because they have those libraries that haven't been touched since Vesuvius erupted. I want to see what's in those manuscripts.
Herculaneum?
Yeah. Pompeii is the famous one, but Herculaneum was even bigger than Pompeii. Richer, at least from what the archaeological excavations have shown. Not much of it has been excavated, though.
I was at Herculaneum the other day, just down the road, Missouri.
Yeah, this is a different one.
Oh, yeah. The Vatican's bizarre, man. The Vatican is built on top of a necropolis. So underneath is nothing but.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. We did that episode on our X Only Picture Show, and that was a good topic back then. Like, people didn't even know where those bodies came from. They're just there. You know. It's just a mystery.
That's wild, dude. I didn't. Damn. I didn't even have any idea. Okay. Is there anything else that we want to touch on, guys? Or what do we think? What time is it? 11:30. Is there any other questions in the chat? I don't have it up at this moment.
I'd like to see you do a circuit, Steven. You need to get out there, man. Freeman Fly, whatever show.
Do a what? A
You ever heard of
circuit?
Yeah, circuit. There's great interviewers out there, just like David here. And you need to get out there, man. Like,
Yeah.
Well, this is out there, and you got a channel, and like we'll totally.
I'm trying to. I'll refer you to Steve Mercer. He's a producer. Does a lot of.
Oh yeah, Steve's great, dude.
He's
Yeah,
great.
Steve's awesome, man. Yeah, you totally. Yeah, definitely. Good call.
Yeah, just put people on my map. I'll reach out to them or hit them up if you know them personally. Tell them to reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to
Well,
contact.
there's researchers that we could put you in touch with, probably with the either no degree of separation or 1 degree of, literally like less than 1 degree of separation, that we can get you probably in touch with, or you know what I'm saying, Aaron? Or we could totally facilitate or assist in facilitating, possibly getting you. I don't know how, with health restrictions being the way they are at the moment, but yeah, I mean, to get you
Jay Widener, man, he'd be great because Jay Widener's way on the Fomenko stuff, and
Widener.
No. Who's this?
Okay.
He's on Fomenko.
No, he's Widener is known for his like Kubrick analysis, and that sort of, like, he's good decoding, brilliant mind, good guy, great, brilliant researcher. So he'd be a good. There's a lot of cats in the field that definitely.
oh yeah,
How do you spell his name?
JayWeidner.
he's got a YouTube channel called Reality Check right now, but going back with Fomenko and a lot of all this history, he's usually on it. He's got a good show, great interviewer.
Let's get the immortal, the what is it, what's, I
You have
can't.
to send me some links to these people.
Jared Murphy, bunch of people, man.
Well, Grimerica, dude,
Yeah,
could get you in touch with Graham.
Heard of them, Grimerica.
And do you know John Brisson?
I don't know about him.
Do you know that We've Read the Documents channel? It's like he's quite possibly like the best researcher. He's the best researcher I know.
Who is?
Brisson, John.
Nice.
Hands down.
You think
Hands-
so?
Oh yeah, easily. Like Charlie said, I watched the last episode. What up, Charlie? Of macroaggressions last night, because he put it out on video, and it was John Brisson, and Charlie introduced him and said, this dude forgets more names and blah 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 about politics than anybody, than anybody, period, out there. So like he exposed the CNP, the Council on National Policy, which is the equivalent of the CFR, the Council for Relations, but the Republican version, and he's a conservative, like an open Christian and conservative, but he's cool as shit. He's great. really sweet guy. He was on episode 4 with us.
Let's
But,
check that out. How did I miss that?
It was SB. It was Billy Ray. Billy Ray kept falling out. Valentine. Billy, you should go on Billy's show too, on the Infinite Fringe. Don Jeffries.
Yes.
Don Jeffries. Do you know Don?
I don't think so.
Dude.
Wait, no. Yeah, I don't think I know
He
him.
wrote a book on Huey P. Or is it? Yeah, I think it was Huey Long from New Orleans.
Just throw me some links after this, and I'll
I
check
will.
out these guys.
Yeah, and these are all literally like friends of the show, or kinds of situations. So yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm open to
Recluse,
talking to
dude.
anyone.
Recluse, when he should be on the farm.
Yeah.
Steve Snyder,
I think I've seen him on your show.
All right, Brisson, Snyder,
Ryan Gable.
Brisson and Snyder, Gables, Ryan. You're not even. He'll never, dude. He's whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll have him on and Kev Baker too. We still have that date coming up soon. I'm hoping, guys.
I know we're gonna whore you out, Steven. You're so grounded, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep everybody from. Yeah.
Yeah, black pilling to death. Straight up.
Write that book already. God.
Yeah, I don't even know what I would write a book on. There's so many topics I could touch on, and I just have no clue. Occasionally, I think I'll want to sit down to write a book, and then I'll research the topic, and I'll be like, I got to spend some more time looking into this.
All I'm saying is that
Familiar
you've been
with
ahead of this. You've been ahead of this wave for a while now, and you're just like kind of seems like you're isolated, dude. You should be out in the forefront somewhat. Join the.
Yeah, I do feel pretty isolated in my study. There's not a whole lot of people looking into chronology, like just the fundamentals of it.
What about
Exactly.
What about Jason? I could get Lindgren.
Jason.
I'll hook him
Yep.
up. Jason, that's what you need. Yeah. Have you ever listened to Crow 777?
Yeah, I know Crow
Yeah,
777.
you know Jason then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindgren. Yeah.
I got some friends that put me on to him a couple years back.
Have you talked to him yet?
Nah, I haven't reached out. I haven't listened to him for a while, but I remember the name. I remember looking at it. I remember watching some of his videos a couple years ago.
I'll reach out to him, dude. Once a week or something. So
Yeah, I'm about it. Hook me up with whoever you want. I'm pretty easygoing.
We're your pimps.
I can have a conversation with just about anyone. I don't know about that terminology, but definitely you can connect me with some people.
Come on, baby, listen.
Where's my money?
Let's get you back out on that avenue, baby. Let's get you on that boulevard.
Come
I
on.
wish I had some pimp music right now to queue up. Damn it.
Damn it.
Don't play any music, you'll get banned by YouTube for copyright.
I don't get
infringement.
banned. I just get I'll
The dings.
shout the band out and then be like, Andy, sorry. Don't yell at me. But yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that I'd be interested in talking to. It's just I'm not the type to come up with. I've been on a bunch of people's shows, and when I do go onto someone's show, I usually take a couple weeks to put together like almost like a curriculum, like show notes, a lesson plan almost to kind of describe exactly what I've been going into, so that there's some fundamental points I can hit on. Like, I don't know if you guys know what Myth Vision podcast is. I was on there recently talking about the fundamentals of history just briefly, and I spent a
There
bit
you
of
go.
time prepping for that, but really even winging it, like coming on tonight last minute, I feel like I can wing stuff pretty good.
Oh yeah, dude, I was like, yeah, we were talking and whatever. I didn't click go live for quite a while, so 3 hours.
Yeah, probably good though, because we were listening to some music at first. Definitely would have gotten copyright strikes on that.
Yeah.
I
I don't care though. I'm not monetizing right now with this.
I'll be back though on the 2nd.
Yeah, everybody come back on the 2nd.
We'll be doing a show specifically about what I've been looking into. I'll take you guys through my website. I'll do some screen sharing. I'll talk
Oh,
about
that'd be awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, and January 2nd, so that's the 2-year anniversary for the foundation on my website too. So it'll be fun to kind of go back over all of it.
Definitely. Definitely.
you guys
And
where I
then
came
let's see,
from.
that'll be. I just want to look at. Well, whatever. That's 2 weeks. Okay, perfect. Let's. So where do you want to give out your site and your contact info, like Twitter, everything like that, while I find the music that I need
Yeah,
to play?
everything is found on the homepage of my website at www.ctruth.today. That is my website. I just commented it there in the live chat. That's my YouTube channel. But if you go there, actually, I can screen share right now. Let me pull this up. I'll do a little preview, sneak peek for what we'll be doing on the second.
Yeah, do it. Awesome.
This is up, right?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, this is my website. Seeking the truth about chronology today. It's I've gone through a couple of different mottos. It was originally uncovering the truth about chronology today, but then I changed it. I changed the name of the website to See Truth, and I changed it to See the Truth about chronology today.
Nice.
Like, I don't know if I really have the truth. Like, the truth that I was saying was that chronology is a sketchy subject and that there's no experts in it yet. And so seeking, I could keep the C, and then this is pretty accurate as to what I'm doing. I'm seeking the truth every day through this website. So here's the thing I was talking about, new to See Truth. You can start here, get kind of familiar with the layout of the site. I have a store if you want to check that out. I've got PayPal, Venmo, and Cashapp if you want to donate. I got Patreon if you want to become a patron. I am doing this thing from now until my birthday in May. If you become a patron, you'll get a shout out and a special video. So I've actually gotten a couple patrons so far. So I will be doing a special video for anyone who becomes a patron in the next 5 months or so. YouTube, if you want to hit me up there. Facebook page, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, Minds, Reddit, BitChute. Here's my public list of patrons. ThinkWell is just something I did when I was first starting, talking about logical fallacies and cognitive biases. I didn't keep up with that because the information's already kind of out there if you want to look into it. And I published some articles on it, though, if you want to see what I had to say. Contact info. And then at the very bottom, I got some quotes about history here, or quotes about chronology. Here's comments. You can comment on just about every page of my website. If you go click on this thing right here, you can read about See Truth. You can see what goals I have. Here's the archive. Here's what I'm kind of working on, some of the bigger projects. Again, the public list of patrons. I've got all sorts of stuff on the side here. You can search the site for keywords. You can look through the months. So you can see how many articles I published each month. If you don't speak English, you can translate it to whatever you want.
Oh, wow.
In Basque, you can have it in Basque. It's available for you. So yeah, I got a ton of stuff on here. But that is the website. Reason I pulled it up was just to show you the homepage. I got all my links on the homepage. So whichever poison you choose to contact me through, it's probably on here somewhere.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate it, dude. And let's see. Yeah, I think next week. What is next week? So wait, it'll be December 26th.
End of the world, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Day after
Great
Christmas.
reset begins.
What? Sorry.
Great reset begins. Come on.
Oh yeah, tomorrow. It's the 20th now, guys. So. Yeah.
My name is spelled Sorensen with an S-E-N at the end of it there.
Dane, like myself, right? Danish?
Yeah, it is Danish.
Yep, I know.
Yep. And then my first name is spelled with an E. It is Steven and not Stefan or Stefan. No A, just an E. It's funny. Snake Jones and Corky there, one after another. Snake butchered my last name. Corky butchered my first.
Oh, believe me, I
it's no problem.
Anderson,
I find it funny.
That's total Danish jerk as well. So.
Yeah, my middle name's really Danish. It's 3 letters. It's AIM, E-H-M.
Yeah,
I have a 7th grade education. Damn it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got
no,
Drum, baby, bang that drum.
pretty good.
Right. All right. So yep, I found the music, and yeah, I thought Greg was gonna like spit bars over this.
All right. I can't
He's
help
like, "Send me
there.
that track." And I was like, "All right."
Oh yeah, yeah. And life, man. What can I say? I'm pretty lazy.
The crack cocaine spider figured building webs was for suckers. So yeah, so since Greg isn't gonna spit, 16 bars of death or 64 or 128, whatever.
Okay, that's all I got right now.
All right. Yep. We're gonna call it a night, guys. So everybody have a beautiful solstice, Yule,
yeah, thanks for having me on.
Candlemas. What else do we got? What other holy days do we have?
Hanukkah, is that coming up?
What?
That's
Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. No,
Kwanzaa, yeah.
I don't play Kwanzaa. That's bullshit. Fake. What else do we have though? We've got Childermas was last week, right?
ctruth's second birthday. It's basically a holiday.
There you go.
It's official.
And yeah, it's solstice and at the Great Conjunction.
Great Conjunction, yes.
Everybody consult your
Conjunction, what's your fun?
Isn't that tomorrow? Wait, it's tomorrow, right? The Great Conjunction, the Saturn.
It's on the 21st.
That's
So,
tomorrow, technically. It's the 20th where I am in where Greg's in Eastern
yes.
time zone, for Christ's sake.
It's my son's birthday, so he's gonna gain lots of power. I'm guessing.
Aw,
Say what?
really?
Yeah, he's a solstice baby.
That's awesome.
He's a solstice baby.
I think it's his third time around on the planet. He's gaining power to fight Balderrock. I think he said on the Holy Mountain. The last battle they had was 1,000 years ago, something like that.
Let's do it.
I don't want to go into it.
You can't just. So the history. Let's go with the chronology actually of. Oh man. All right.
It's something about a magic sword needing to take his heart out. I don't know. It's too much. Too much for this year.
Kano type shit. Heart out.
Yeah, I think he throws a heart in the volcano and then like souls get released, something like that.
Well,
Perfect end for 2020.
yeah, and yeah, that won't get me kicked off Twitter, but it apparently gets our friend Charlie Robinson kicked off Twitter.
Yeah, Klaus Schwab comes out after he does that, and I guess he does some incantation, and then it opens up a portal.
At CERN, and yeah, and then there's a random a flash mob of reenactment of the 2012 opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games just breaks out on like a 500-person flash mob right in front of CERN, right next to Shiva, and then we dance the dance of destruction together, guys. Let's tear it down. Yeah, fight the power.
Dr. Fauci's a terrorist.
There you go. You heard him. Carrie Mullis called him a fucking nitwit dotard. Probably.
He's a fucking goblin. Okay, let's be honest.
Yeah.
He came out of the troll hole.
He's not a hero. So anybody that calls him a hero, I want to punch in the face. He said that he personally injected Santa Claus with the vaccine too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh God, that made me so
I
mad.
want to thank the editorial board. CNN doesn't have that. I want to thank CNN's fine reporting, online reporting for that one. Or actually, it wasn't even online. I think it was on the network itself, actually live probably. So I want to thank Jake Tapper for interviewing the hero of the day, the month, the week, the decade, the 2020 hero of 2020. Now that isn't a title. Nobody would want that title. So to Dr. Fauci it goes. Oh Jesus.
Oh God.
All right, everybody, have a beautiful holiday, whatever you fucking celebrate, you psychos. And we love you. Maybe. Let's see. Come back next week and we'll tell you. but we might not be. We'll be here. Are we gonna do Christmas? Maybe we'll do Christmas.
What's this fucking NPR, dude? Let's wrap it up.
It is NPR. All right.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. You know I love you.
No, I don't, Greg. I'm gonna stop the live stream now, though, so
He's
everybody.
been trying to get on NPR for years now.
I know, dude. How are you
Just
gonna
listen to that voice.
Let's get Steven
Yeah,
on
right.
NPR.
Listen, to that
Guys, get me on NPR. Come on, help me
Yes.
out here. I'm trying to get on Joe Rogan. NPR is the stepping stone up to Joe
Really?
Rogan.
Straight up.
Well,
Toe Rogan.
if we use violence, we'll get you on there.
I can't get on Joe Rogan. At least help me get on Rogan.
There you go. Camel toe Rogan, baby. Camel. Okay. Before I keep doing that. All right, everybody. Good night. We'll see you, and you'll see Steven again on the 2nd. So, tune in then. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a happy, whatever week that you decide to do whatever you want to do during the horrible conjunction.